Hey folks, this is Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at the Bestech Torpedo. Have you ever had your very own torpedo? Here's your chance. Actually, it's not your chance to get one, it's your chance to watch a review about one. Actually, I've got two of them. Bestech sent me two samples to review, so unfortunately these will not be knives that can be won by my Patreon supporters because they loaned these to me after return them when I'm done with this video. But what we have is another Bestech knife. This is the BG17 series, and it comes in 4 colors, and it comes with either this black on the flats or just satin on the flats. Actually, no, is it stonewash? They sent me two, like I said, and this one is, yeah, stonewash. So you get either stonewash on the flats or you get black on the flats, and otherwise it's the same knife. The Torpedo by Bestech. The review's coming to you right now. So here's two of the colors. We've got orange, we've got this bright neon green. It comes in black and it comes in tan. And like I said before, it comes in both of these blade options. So that's quite nice. Let's compare its size to this Ontario Rat 1. It's a smaller knife. I like to line up the pivot points here. And so as you can see, let's get it back on the screen here all the way. There we go. It's a shorter knife and, you know, shorter handle. It's just shorter altogether. But other than that, it's very much, you know, the same size as most regular full-size knives. The shape of it, it's got a drop point blade, but we've got like an upswept. It looks like it's starting as an upswept blade, and then it's got a drop point, a swedge here on both sides. You can see it maybe on this one a little bit better with the black taking up some of it. Flats right there, everything that's black is flat. And jimping right here, a little bit of a riser with some jimping on it. And that helps give extra grip on your thumb. And this forward part here, we've got a forward choil, not a forward choil, a sharpener's choil. It's a little bit, I wish it was a little bit bigger or a little bit further down the blade a little bit because it's not quite enough. You can see from the grinding of the cutting edge here how the grinding gets bigger. It comes up further, and that's because the steel's getting thicker right there. So if it was that way a little bit, it would end where it's thin, the same as the rest as the cutting edge of the cutting edge. The blade is chamfered, even on the side of the spine right here, it's chamfered there, and on the where the flipper tab is, it's a little bit chamfered. You can get your finger up here and be comfortable, sort of like a forward choil, and that works quite well. And then your index finger fits in this space here. It almost looks like a canoe kind of shape right there. That's one of the things, actually, that's actually my first con that I'm not too fond of, these corners right here. Now, they get a little bit hot in the hand sometimes when I go to grab it. I'll grab it just a little bit wrong and then push on that corner and, yeah, just a tiny bit warm. That's being very nitpicky. It's a small thing, but I wish that was rounded just a bit, just a little bit more. Like everything else is nicely rounded, except for this point back here. It's a knife. The knife is comfortable for, you know, a reverse grip, as long as you don't put your thumb over the end like that. Your regular, you know, fist grip works well. Saber grip, forward delicate control grip, a reverse grip. Like I said before, everything's quite comfortable. It's not a very large knife, like I showed already. People or men with extra large men's hands, my hands are between 10 and 11 in European sizes, between large and extra large in Canada, North America, US sizes are the same. And if my hands were much bigger, I don't think I would like this knife as much. So, you know, maybe if you've got extra large hands and you like smaller knives, this will still work for you. But large and smaller is probably what we're looking at for the potential customers for this knife. We've got G10 Handle Scales, and they've got these vertical lines milled in them. They add enough grip without being obnoxious. You know, they're not over grippy. and, looks good. We've got recessed holes in the G10 for the pivot screws so they don't stand proud. So that's not pivot screws, the body screws. The pivot screw is a locked pin so it doesn't spin freely, and it's fairly close to flush to the G10 here. We've got this back screw here. These body hourglass shaped body pins are screwed in, but this last one here is underneath the G10, so you have to take the G10 handle scales off before you can unscrew to take the knife apart here. This screw goes to that pin right there. The only way to get underneath there, though, you have to take these either the pocket clip or this spacer out. I'm glad that they've got those spacers. That's a good thing, and the screws for them. I would like flush screws for those instead of those round head screws, because these deep carry pocket clips with round head screws sometimes cause them to get caught on pockets when you're putting them in, and then your pocket only goes up to here instead of sinking all the way in. I'll show you what I mean. So you put the knife in the pocket, that rides over. That's just fine. And if your denim is thicker, it might get caught up right there instead of going all the way down. On the jeans that I have, these have enough space in there that it hasn't got caught up once. It just hasn't happened for me. But for some people, it might happen. Yeah, so I would like it to become an industry standard or norm that when they do these fold over pocket clips that they put flush screws on. That would be a really good thing. If there's enough space in there, it's really not that necessary. And there is a lot of space on these ones, so that's quite good. I should have shown, it's about a little less than a quarter of an inch of the knife sticking out of the pocket. That's about 8 or 9 millimeters, something like that. And it's, just a narrow tip like that that's sticking out. So that's actually quite good. I like the design. It helps keep it discreet, unless you've got, this bright, vibrant electric green color, because you can get that tan or black. And have it be a little bit more discreet. We've got D2 steel for the blade, and it's been shown that Bestech, when they say they're using D2, it's D2. Rockwell around 60, could be a bit more, a bit less, but it's usually around 60. And that's a good hardness, good durability of the steel. I'm calling it a full flat grind. Some people might call it a high saber. I'm calling it a full flat grind. And because the grind goes very close to the top. Not quite. Technically, it's not, as you can see by this black line coming all the way up to here, that flat. But who cares? That's what I'm calling it. It's effectively a full flat grind. It's done quite well. The shape is comfortable, looks good. Let's go over all of the dimensions, sizes, all that kind of information about this knife. And while I'm talking about that, this will be on the screen. Like I said, D2 steel, G10, stainless steel liners, stainless steel pocket clip, D2 steel blade. We've got ceramic ball bearings. We've got a ceramic detent, and I'll show you the insides a little bit later. Now for the sizes and weights and everything, 118 grams, which is 4.15 ounces, so just over 4 ounces. Not bad at all for the size. The sharpness of the edge from the factory, 135, which is very good. You can see other videos of mine where I talk about that number and what it means. We've got cutting edge and the blade length are the same, 8.1 centimeters, 3.2 inches. The blade thickness is this dimension right here, 3.18 millimeters, 0.125 of an inch, so right around 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth this way, right where my fingers are, 2.5 centimeters, 0.987 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, it's a little bit thinner than I thought it would be, but it's not terrible. 0.39 millimeters, so not bad at all, 0.0155 of an inch. With D2, that's not bad, and since it's a full flat grind, every time you sharpen it, it'll move the edge back a little bit, and it'll get a little thicker behind the grind. So starting at 0.39 or 0.4 of a millimeter, not bad at all. The grind angle. Now this is not the best. I only measured it on this yellow knife. On this side, it's 15.2 degrees. On this side, it's 23.6 degrees. So a little too shallow on that side and a little bit too much of an angle on that side. I like it to be about 20 degrees per side. And this one's a little bit off. But with how thin it is behind the grind, the first sharpening that I do of this, if I was keeping this knife, the sharpening, I'd get it 20 degrees per side, and it would still be quite thin behind the grind. So not a big deal. It's just a small thing. Hopefully more and more reviewers will start measuring those things, because I'm hoping that it becomes the next thing in the industry that they're going to focus on, making sure that those grind angles are very, very good. Just having it sharp is not good enough. We want the angle to be such that when the person sharpens it the next time, they're not sharpening it to some odd angle on each side, but that it's close to, a reasonable angle on each side. Now for the handle length is 11.1 centimeters, 4.36 inches. The grip area is about 9.4 centimeters, 3.7 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.45 centimeters, which is 0.57 of an inch, so a little over half of an inch thick, not bad. The handle depth, and that's measured right here by this tip after this choil, that high spot, 2.54 centimeters, 1 inch. And when the knife is closed, we're talking, my handwriting's hard to read. I think it's 3 centimeters, yep, 1.18 inches, so not bad at all. It slides in the pocket well, and it fits good in the pocket. It doesn't catch on things easily. The flipper tab doesn't get in the way. Oh, wait a minute, I'm doing measurements. The total length of the knife, 19.2 centimeters, 7.5 inches. So that's the measurements. And like I was saying, when the knife is closed and you slide it into your pocket, this flipper tab is nicely rounded, and you get a little bit of jimping on the front edge of it right there. Let's see if I can focus on that. There you go. And so light switch method for opening the blade is what's used. So you're pulling back, and that works best. The push button method doesn't work quite as well. You push on the tip on that corner and push a bit of an angle, and there you go. And so that works, but it's really designed for the light switch method of pulling back. And deployment is great thanks to those ceramic ball bearings and ceramic detent and everything. Well, here, let's take a picture, take a look at the insides of the knife. So there you go. It's a good knife. How much does this guy cost? It's $52. That's Bestech standard price. And Bestech has the resellers agree to have a standard price, so that's what you're going to find. But with White Mountain Knives, using coupon code CCE for Canadian Cutting Edge, you can get 10% off. And that's $52 US if you want to buy it in the States, and they ship to Canada. If you're wary of buying from the US because, the border tends to confiscate some knives, you can get this at Blades Canada, which is also Warriors and Wonders, for $79.99 Canadian. So 80 Canadian or 52 American. And if you are in Europe, Amazon Germany has it for $73.50. They've only got this bright green one that I could find. But I'm sure you can find other stores in Germany or other European countries that has Bestech knives. Knivesandtools.co.uk has this in the UK for £58, so that's not bad. It's, of course, more than the Americans have to pay, but hey, that's that's what we do. It's a good-looking knife. Let's go over the pros and the cons a little bit. Pros, there's a lot of them. I like the look of the knife. I like how sturdy the blade is. The tip is quite strong with the drop point coming the way it is. I like the high grind, nice and flat grind, nice and thin behind the edge. The tip, even though it is durable, it's pointy enough to be good for precision work. You've got a nice edge. It's fairly comfortable in hand, except for, that little corner there is a little bit warm. There's skeletonizing to make it light, but it's a thick liner, stainless steel, so it's nice and strong. I like the looks of it. The pocket clip's done well. I like that it's left and right with the pocket clip. Grips many different ways. The lines in the milling of the G10 helps make this nice and grippy without being overly aggressive. Lockup, it's exactly where you want a brand new knife to be. Alignment when you close it, perfect. No blade play, side to side, up and down, none of that. We've got one of those captured floating stop pins that's in with the blade, and so you can't see a stop pin up here. That's neither here nor there. That works very effectively, just like an external stop pin does. Nothing bad about that at all. Nothing exceptional about it either, except for you don't have a stop pin to look at here. The cons, I got a few cons, but they all are very, very minor, and none of them are big enough for me to say, if I like the style and stuff, they wouldn't be big enough for me to decide not to get it. But here's the cons. I'd like a little more grip on the lock release right here. It's just got a little chamfer on it. My finger did slide over it, sometimes my thumb when I wanted to open it. So I'd like, maybe a little bit of jimping on there or something, or maybe a little bit better access, a little bit of the G10 milled away instead of having it like this canoe, make it sort of a radius so you can get at it. Perhaps. That one spot on the corner here, a little bit warm sometimes, a little bit hot in the hand, not a big deal. The sharpener's choil, should be just a little bit bigger or a little bit further that way, closer to the tip of the blade. I'm talking like less than 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/16, maybe 1.5 millimeters or so, and that's all it needs. I would like flush screws in the pocket clip. I've mentioned that. And it may not be for the largest hands, but that's not really a con at all. It just is what it is. But it is over 3 inches, so there you go. I like that you've got lots of options for, colors for handles, and you've got options for, either stonewash or the black wash up here. There's no overabundance of writing on the knife. They just put a little bit, their name on that side, and just small letters, D2 right there for the steel. It's a good looking knife. It's a good handling knife. It cuts well, feels good. It's got a great weight. I could just go over all the pros over and over again, and that would be a waste of time. Let me just finish off by saying I like this knife. If you're in the market for this, consider the Bestech Torpedo. But like I said, these are not mine. Don't write to me asking me if you can buy these. I still have an ongoing injury in my arm, which means I find it really hard to type or move my mouse around for any extended period of time. That's why the editing on this video has been minimal. And thank you for understanding. If you want to have me answer some questions, if you email me at canadiancuttingedge@gmail.com, I will respond. I probably will not be responding to the comments down below, although I will read them all. So there you go, the Bestech Torpedo. Interesting. I like it. Bestech is doing a lot of good things. Bestech, if you're listening, thumb studs. I'd like to see more knife designs with thumb studs and not flippers. Partly because they're more welcome into Canada, easier to get across the border into Canada, and partly because I like thumb stud knives. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.